Hey guys, Tom here from FXhome. Today we're going to be looking at image enhancements influenced by anamorphic lenses and my personal favourite, the Helios 4.4 lens. We're going to start off with a few lens distorts, then some channel separation, finally looking at some image enhancement tips to help. I've obtained some stock footage I found online, but this process works along with any footage. The one thing you'll tend to notice with old lenses, and especially anamorphic, is the slight distortion around the edge of frame. To replicate this, we'll begin by going into the effects window, opening up the warp dropdown, and find Bezier Warp applying to our layer. On application, you'll notice that 4 anchor points have activated in the corners of our image. We'll be using these points to create a distortion. Open each of the drop-downs and we're only going to adjust the point value. This is the center of the edge of frame. We're going to be moving the position of the edge along the y-axis. This is the second value of the 2 dimensions. You can adjust this to any strength of distort, however I found that subtracting 100 points provides a sustainable amount without revealing errors later. So that's 440 on the top values and minus 440 on the bottom points. You should now have something that looks like an oblong frame. With our distortion set, we'll now look at the RGB offsets. Though before we do, a little preparation first. Enter the layer properties of your footage and set the blend option to add. We'll then go into the channel dropdown of the effects window and grab channel swapper, followed by a lens distort from under warps. Before altering these effects, we're going to duplicate this footage layer 2 times to have 3 total. We can do this by pressing Ctrl and D. Each of these layers is going to represent one of our color channels, red, green, and blue. So by selecting a layer and pressing F2 on the keyboard, we'll rename each layer with a respected value. Currently we've lost all color of our shot due to the layer setting. So in order to get them back, we're going to go into the layer, and this is where channel swapper comes in. The channel swapper works in altering the color values based on the ones available. Before this tutorial, we're using it to turn off particular values. As I've named this layer red, I'll be setting the green and blue to full off. This leaves us with just the red channel. We'll then go into the other layers and do the same, leaving the named value untouched. We now have our image color detail completely back. This is due to having our layer set to add, transferring the channels down to the layer below as they merge to create one standard image. For the offset, we'll select a layer and we'll adjust the lens distort we applied before duplication. The madness is making sense now. Open the dropdown, and all we'll be altering is the scale of this effect. This is one of those cases where subtlety is key, as too much can reveal it's fake. The scale only needs to be adjusted ever so slightly. We'll then repeat this in the other layers. A little tip, the most common offset you'll notice with these lenses is the blue channel, so you may wish to make that one the most prominent. With distort and channel offset complete, let's look at some exposure bleeds. Create a new grade layer from the new layer icon. We'll name this bleeds. Head into lights and flares, and we'll apply anamorphic lens flare to the scene. In here, we're going to make a subtle flare over the image by adjusting the threshold and the blur flare. One of the aspects I love about using the Helios lens is the personality it has. By this I mean the color bleeds around the subject and lighting. You don't tend to get that with modern lenses. Flare's looking good. Let's make another grade layer. This one is going to be for some additional blurring. Go into the blurs drop down and get yourself radial blur onto our new layer. Another giveaway with these lenses is the beautiful spherical blur you get on the edges. Again, subtlety is key on this effect. The layer gives us 5 points of blur as default. I'm just going to half this, just to give that little stretch. Obviously we've now ruined our subject, so we'll need a mask for this layer. Grab the ellipse tool from the viewer window and apply an oval mask over the shot. Convert the type to subtract and give it a good old feather. Let's generate one more grade layer and duplicate it, just so we don't have to do another one. Naming one texture and the other one framing. In our texture layer, open the sharpen dropdown and apply the weirdly named unsharpen effect. We'll use this to provide more focus to our subject. But what I love about this effect is the preset add texture. It just brings out the highlights, which is really all you need for a sharp image. Finally, go into our last grade layer, named framing. This is simply to cover the weird oval framing that we have going on with a letterbox. we'll head into the Generate dropdown and apply Letterbox. This will automatically apply a 2:35:1 aspect ratio, which is your traditional cinema sizing. Here we have another clip where I've recorded something from just my phone and applied the same effect. This effect is very simple and subtle, but gives a very cinematic quality. Leave any questions down below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications.